This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Greetings, blessings, and good fortune, everyone. It's another Thursday. Yes, we weren't on last Thursday because, of course, it was Thanksgiving. We're coming at you from 97.7 KCYP, The City, out of McAllen, Texas. We're in the McAllen Creative Incubator. We're also going out on YouTube. We're going out on Facebook Live. We're going out on the 97.7 Facebook page and the Bitcoin Otter page, also with me, yours truly, Christopher Ott, my page. Ladies and gentlemen, we have so much to talk about. We have many things that are going on in our world, in our atmosphere, in our economy that need to be addressed. Okay? So I'm going up on the iPad, and then I'm going to be on the Bitcoin Otter posts, the other one, hopefully, from my phone. So as you see me perhaps a bit distracted, please know that I am doing it for the benefit of the conversation. Okay? That sounds official almost. So, see me perhaps a bit distracted. What I want to relate to you today, after our barometer, that is, our economic barometer, I want to convey to you that nothing can stop what is coming. There's going to be a lot of disappointing news. There's going to be a lot of dismay in the air. There's going to be many things that are going to trip us up if we allow them. We won't. We won't allow that, and we will not allow the will of the people to be undone. Just had to say that. Next, the gold price today, just before coming on, was $2,643 an ounce. All right. Silver at $31.57. And I'm going to get there, gents, ladies. $99,200 for your Bitcoin. But as you well know, we eclipsed $100,000 for one Bitcoin yesterday. Went up to 103.5 something. Average mortgage rate, 30-year rate, 6.93%. Okay. A 15-year rate is at 6.21%. Still rather ugly. Glad I'm not in the market. But the fact remains that Bitcoin is still better than real estate. Did I say that? Bitcoin is better than real estate? You know why I say that? And I'm not a financial advisor by any means. I have no tie. I have a wrinkly shirt because Mrs. Otter was out of the house and I was able to get out with a wrinkled shirt. However, all that notwithstanding, I didn't invent this concept that Bitcoin is better than real estate. An MIT grad, if that gives any gravitas to the guy, I don't know. But his name is Michael Saylor, and I highly encourage you to look him up on YouTube. He's got a million videos or two. And I'll tell you what, his venture capitalist fund is, well, it's trend busting for many different reasons. But one of them is they are the first ones to 400,000 industrially, I guess you could say, speaking corporately. They are the first ones. MicroStrategy, his venture capitalist fund, is the first corporation to eclipse 400,000 Bitcoin. Is that amazing? It is to me. It is to me. So what we have here is an announcement on Truth Social by the owner of Truth Social, by the name of Donald Trump. He says, "Congratulations, Bitcoiners, $100,000. You're welcome. Together we will make America great again." Now, some might say, well, what is Donald Trump saying you're welcome for? We're the ones who bought it. Yeah, that's true, factually true, but there are many things that went into that price rise. And one of those was Donald Trump going to the Bitcoin conference in 2024. Okay. Now, many people may not have seen that, may not have noticed that, but he was there. Of course, it's unprecedented since 2009 when Bitcoin emerged that a president, or, in his case, he was a candidate for president, although some of us know that he was actually president and still is. Anyway, I digress. What I'm getting at is he broke ground with that. He said that he wanted not only to make America great again, but he wanted to make America the Bitcoin capital, hopefully the crypto capital of the world. Okay? And I say that way because there are many other innovations apart from Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the big daddy, OG, I understand. But the fact remains that there are still many worthwhile projects out there, and we can't let institutions distract us from that. Bitcoin's great. Sure, certainly is. But Bitcoin also needs the ecosystem. I would argue that. Michael Saylor might be, a little different. However, what I'm getting at is this. Let's make America great again. And Bitcoin's going to help. Bitcoin news. Saylor, there's that guy again, pitches Bitcoin to Microsoft's board in a 3-minute presentation. This is from Michael Saylor during that presentation. Bitcoin is the best asset that you can own. The numbers speak for themselves. It makes a lot more sense to buy Bitcoin than to buy your own stock back or to hold Bitcoin rather than holding bonds. If you want to outperform, you need Bitcoin. I think that reality is emerging. Whether people like it or not is something different. Whether people can appreciate all that is, something different. The fact of the matter is, this is what he's saying. Hey, I just went back in. We got Matt. He's on. Sue, he's on. Joe, you're sitting here and you're on. That's so cool. These things are disappearing, and I don't understand why. It's frustrating. Brian, you're on. Eddie and Danny, glad to see you guys here. We're just having a good time discussing the $100,000 Bitcoin mark and some emerging, well, maybe not even emerging. He's already been on the scene, Michael Saylor, and he's telling us not the future, ladies and gents, but the reality of the now. It is now. It is not an issue of, hey, you think crypto is going to do well? Do you think crypto is going to play a part? It's already playing a part, and it's already doing well. The question is, and will remain, are you in it? That's the question. I'm here to help. You know my email, bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com. Hit me up. All right? Hit me up. I know most of you that are watching, but not all. So bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com is a great way that you can reach out, and I can guide you. My intent, okay, the whole intent of the Bitcoin Otter private membership association is to allow other people to know what I know. Now, it's not a lot. I'm not Michael Saylor. I certainly didn't go to MIT. If there was a kegger, I might have attended for a day or two, but I didn't get invited. So I didn't go to college, and I'm not a financial advisor. However, I will help you understand the basics of crypto and how to get into it if you would like it. Hit me up. Russia officially recognizes Bitcoin as property, introduces new tax laws. Now, I'm not so keen on the tax laws part of it. I think it's going to be like 13% over there in Russia. But I'll tell you what, recognizing it as property will eliminate the, it will eliminate the friction with government agencies. Now, I'm probably going to think that that's not an issue in Russia, especially when the president recognizes it as property. But here in America, with all the corrupt organizations such as the SEC, for one, we talked about that. Paul, good to see you, Paul. So SEC and a bunch of others, I can name them until the show's over. Those corrupt bureaucracies want to get in the way between average people like you and me getting into Bitcoin. That we'll talk about XRP in a bit. XRP, anything that can do our portfolios and our families well, they want to interfere with that because they're bankers, stoolies, right? So they work for the banks. They don't work for America, much less for us. They work for the banks. These people are shysters, okay? Anyone in a position over a regulatory bureau or a regulatory agency, okay, if they get to that point, man, can you imagine what the bad guys have on them? This is what, and I digress, but if anybody has anything they really want to talk about, please let me know. Marcos, good to see you. But I'm going off on a little sidebar here. This is particularly for guys like Gensler, for guys like Ray of the FBI, guys like Strzok of the FBI. This is the reason. These people are the reason why we had Epstein Island. They're the reason why Diddy threw those parties. Now, you might think they're just partiers. You might think they're just out for a good time with a penchant for little kids. No, it's way more organized than that, ladies and gentlemen. They run blackmail factories. You might as well call Diddy's pad and Epstein Island, among who knows how many thousands of others there are worldwide, blackmail factories. The deep state, the international criminal syndicate, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, okay? They have been around a long time. They have streamlined things with remarkable efficiency. Evil as all get out. Disgusting as literally all hell. Yet, they exist. Hopefully, not much longer. So, when Putin announced this, okay, in a groundbreaking move, and oh, by the way, this is from Bitcoin News also. In a groundbreaking move, Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed a series of laws recognizing digital assets as property, making Russia one of the most notable nations to embrace Bitcoin on a legal level. This development is expected to bring sweeping changes to Russia's economic landscape and position the country as a significant player in the Bitcoin space. So what's holding you back as positioning yourself as a significant Bitcoin holder? I have to ask it, okay? I'm not going to apologize because in reality, when I ask this, it's for your betterment. Alex, good to see you. Manny, good to see you. Glad you guys are watching. You want to talk about something, throw it up there. I'm going to, toggle through them. I'm on the Bitcoin Otter page too. So everybody has to ask themselves at one point or another, when is their entry point? The first thing is, and these are two stories, but they're both true. The first thing is every single person has a shoulda, coulda, woulda moment. Meaning, at some point they were exposed. I'll get right there, Manny. XRP is right. XRP is right. I'll get there. At some point in your life, because I know it's true for me, and everyone I've talked to has a similar moment. The shoulda, coulda, woulda moment. This means that at some point you were exposed informationally to Bitcoin, and you shoulda, you coulda, you woulda, but you didn't. Some of us are way back in the ecosphere of Bitcoin, and, well, we didn't do it, and we regret it. The remainder of us are like, okay, myself, I think it was 2014, so it wasn't real early, but it was early enough where I could have built an Otter fortune, okay? Had I just asked my friend, Omar, hey, brother, do you think I could stop by your place one of these nights and you can show me how to buy Bitcoin? I could have done that, and Omar's a great guy. He's very knowledgeable also. I could have done that. He would have helped me, and I could have been doing this from Joe's diamond-studded gold interior of a studio. Okay, we could have had this. We should have, we could have, we would have, but we didn't. I didn't. So, I'm sure you all have that. XLM and HBAR. You know what, guys? I'm going to mention these, and I'm going to go in for those who don't really have maybe even nothing, and I'm going to offer them a little something. So where I'm going is the two things are, one, Jim, Corinne, Alex are up on the Bitcoin Otter page. Hey, Dad, I know you're watching too. Glad to see you. Love you, Dad. So that was the first thing. We all have a woulda, shoulda, coulda moment. The second thing is this. We all get Bitcoin at the price we deserve. As I said earlier, not only is Bitcoin the future, it is the now. And if we wait any longer, we're going to deserve $200,000 Bitcoin. And just so you know, if you're watching now live or listening in your vehicle or whatever, you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. Okay. I certainly do not even come close to owning a whole Bitcoin. I wish I did, but I don't. What I have done is buy a little bit, $10, $50, $100. Oh, you get a bonus. Oh, you know, a good week, $500. If you have it. If you don't, you don't. You're not putting the rent money down. So what I'm saying is accumulate it, leverage into it, you know, dollar cost average into it. Meaning you're always buying. There's not a time when you're not buying. You might buy a little bit and then a little more and then a little bit and a little more, but you're still buying so that at some point you have some asset, some equity, okay, that doesn't require renters. It doesn't get hopefully taxed. It doesn't get hopefully stolen. And it won't have, you know, he's rich in real estate, but doesn't want the headaches. So he buys the better asset, Bitcoin. Just saying. Senator Loomis proposes selling gold to bolster Bitcoin reserves. Barry, good to see you. Barry, in case you didn't hear that last one, or anybody else who didn't hear it, Senator Loomis, I don't know this lady's, you know, history. I don't know if she's good, bad, or indifferent. Rudy, good to see you. But Senator Loomis proposes selling gold to bolster Bitcoin reserves. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here for my health. That expression came to my mind. Oh, I'm not here for my health. I am, because it's my mental health. I can't live with myself if I have a certain something, which is a little bit of knowledge, and I don't share it with people that I care about. Because I don't want to be somewhere and then have some of my friends and family say, why didn't you tell me? You could have said something. I have over 2 years now of saying something, because Joe was gracious enough to offer me a radio program that we also branched out into Facebook and YouTube. But the fact of the matter is, I am here for my health. I could also be here for yours. Meaning, if you decide you want to jump in, something that's decentralized, there's no owner other than you if you want to be. Nobody that really controls it. And the big boys are getting into this extreme. A government representative proposes selling gold to bolster Bitcoin reserves. I'll read the rest. It's not a lot. The plan, which the senator shared in interviews and public statements, aims to establish a national Bitcoin reserve. Thank you, Jim. It's down to 96.6. Maybe get you some. Aims to establish a national Bitcoin reserve as a hedge against inflation and a tool to bolster the dollar's global dominance. Ladies and gentlemen, what would you think about this? I've got a few reasons to say, let's do it. Here's one of them. With gold, we have obscurity. Let me explain that. It is obscure to us whether or not there's really gold in the vault, okay, where we keep the gold. If we don't even know, how do you think other countries are going to have the faith that our gold is there? They won't. With Bitcoin, everything is transparent. Giving your public address, okay, and in this case, it would be more than public. It would be a government thing, and we, the people, own it, right? So giving your public address doesn't give anything away. Wayne, good to see you. Glad to see you, brother. Who else we got out here? Luis, glad to see you, brother. So with the blockchain, we can all be observers of what is there and what is not there. So if the government says, hey, we got so much Bitcoin, yeah, it's right there. Okay? With gold, they're not going to open those vaults. Fort Knox or whatever it is, they're not going to open those vaults. We still don't know if they have the gold. But with Bitcoin, we're going to know. We're going to know. So before I go into this stuff, I want to touch on a few things that have already been popping up. Okay, Manny, I think it was you mentioned XRP. A lot of people who are not in the Bitcoin verse, crypto verse, are not, they're not up on what's going on outside of Bitcoin because Bitcoin gets all the headlines and so forth. XRP, ladies and gentlemen, XRP is a product of Ripple Labs. Okay, Ripple Labs is the think tank, so to speak, that created a cryptocurrency, a blockchain asset called XRP. So currently, I don't know, somebody pop up, if you will, what the current price of XRP is. Now, regardless of what the current price is, I'm confident, and I know I have a little bit of it, I'm confident that it's going to rise well above that. And here's why. The public value of XRP is going to be enormous. Why? Because it's going to is already international. So what it is designed to do is make lightning quick financial transactions. Now, the old World Bank, the Federal Reserve debt instrument, okay, to strangle human beings, snuff them out, if you will, just as they get enough out of us at 70 years old or whatever, then we get, sidelined for a new model. That model is gone. Lord willing, that is gone. So what we're going to go into is an age where things will be on a blockchain. It doesn't necessarily need to be Bitcoin's blockchain, but a blockchain, which is right now the most secure way of this type of thing. XRP has already sent out 500, this was 2 weeks ago, 500 unique identifiers to 500 different banks internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, it's on. XRP is going to do it. You don't have to believe me. YouTube is out there. Look at videos. Look at the use case. Look at the investors. Look at everything that you need to look at to feel confident. I am not a financial advisor. Have no tie, and I'm not professional. So the fact of the matter is, Matt says it's up 337% last month. It's at 227. Is that all, Matt? Is it only up 337 or 27%? Gee, I guess I'll take that. Ladies and gents, I know crypto is volatile, but that can be your advantage too. And again, I don't use the rent money. I don't use money that I have to feed my family with. I use money that I've put aside to hopefully make some money that I can retire with and continue living at whatever or above station I find myself in life. So again, I can help you with that if you care. If not, then, I'm just recommending that you dig in, but it's all on you, brothers and sisters. It's all on you. I'm just here to help. So the Economic Ninja is going to talk about something a little bit different. And I'll get on XLM too, guys. I'm not going to forget that one. And if I do, just throw it up there. So Ripple Labs is about to use XRP to turn real. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, because if you're not really familiar with this stuff, you're going to be amazed at what this pertains to. Ripple's XRP ledger. So they're going to add an L to the end of XRP. XRPL aims to revolutionize enterprise finance by enabling fractionalized asset ownership. I'll explain a little bit in a second. Hang on. In traditionally illiquid markets, real estate, potentially leading to a $30 trillion assessment. XRLP's low transaction fees and advanced layer 1 blockchain technology position Ripple as a frontrunner in the asset tokenization market, challenging traditional financial outputs. Now, ladies and gentlemen, What does he mean by tokenization? Let me let you in on something that people much smarter than me have already posited, figured out, and actualized. It is the tokenization of everything. I'm talking your car, I'm talking your truck, I'm talking your house, your pool, maybe even your shed. Everything will have a tokenized value to it. And, okay, pawn shops, for better or for worse, are going to go out of business. Why? Because you will have the ability to pawn some of your assets or use it as collateral. Now, that could be dangerous, right? Of course it is. Of course it's dangerous. But what do you think the banks do to you every day? And they benefit. In this way, you can benefit. Here's the way it works. At some point, everything is going to be valuated. It is now, right? If you want to sell your shed, if you want to sell your home or your car, you're going to be able to sell it. You just put a value to it and you put it out there. You're going to do the same thing, but it's going to be on a blockchain instead of Facebook. Or, what was really antiquated is, a classified ad. So it's not going to be like it was in the past or even in the present. Oh, thanks. Hey, guys. So my grandkids, right? The boys, as Corinne says, Johnny and Isaiah say hi. Hi, Johnny. Hi, Isaiah. Good to see you, boys. And I'll see you hopefully soon. So everything's going to have a value, and you're going to be able to buy parts or whole of that value. So when, we're talking about the high rise in Manhattan, maybe you will be able to own a chunk of that. Perhaps. I mean, we got to deal with BlackRock. We got to deal with Vanguard. Those are two evil entities. They want to gobble up the world. Okay. And we're going to have to choke them on it in some way or form. I don't know how. I'm not, if you have any ideas, I'm open. But those big boys, okay, have to be dealt with sooner or later. Now, we'll find out if President Trump has a plan for that. We will find out, that's for sure. But XLM, I was going to touch on XLM. It's also a payment token. So XRP is running the rails for banking transactions internationally. Very similar is XLM, and another one that no one's mentioned, but I have a little bit of Velo, V-E-L-O. Okay, Velo hasn't pumped yet. So it's very hot in Thailand and in Asia. Okay, so things to look out for. Again, not financial advice. Crypto news. XRP falls from third largest crypto spot amid Ripple's delay of RLUSD stablecoin launch. Another quick lesson here, in case you're not initiated yet in stablecoins. A stablecoin is a coin that mirrors the mirrors the price of the US dollar. So apparently XRP is going to, or has developed, a stablecoin. You use this when you want to go in and out of investments or save your fiat, but not in fiat, right? If the Federal Reserve decides that the banks are shut down, well, then you lose it. If it's on the blockchain, it's yours. Quick, brief explanation. So if XRP is delaying its stablecoin launch, there's many reasons for that. However, the price drop came amid Ripple's announcement that it would delay the launch of its RLUSD stablecoin, RL being Ripple Labs, fueling market uncertainty and raising investor concerns. What does this do? I'll tell you what it does. It tells me to buy a little bit while it's low. That's all it's telling me. If that's what it tells you, please go by your instincts, because I think they're right. I'm just toggling back and forth. We have nothing new popping up yet. So I'm going to go into this right here. And we've done crypto, and I have been accused before of not really covering crypto, even though I'm the Bitcoin Otter show. But we did a pretty good job of that right now. And again, if you have any comments or questions, bring them on. I really appreciate the back and forth, the conversation. So This is something that's not crypto related, but summarily, okay, important. Summarily important, however you want to pronounce that. It's not a zero hedge. Yes, the president can deploy troops to enforce immigration law. Really? Now, I knew this. Not because I'm smart, because I pay attention to smart people. The Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 derives its name from this practice with a crucial distinction, the practice of deploying troops for some sort of federal law enforcement. It specifically prohibits the military from acting as this civilian force. The law's architects recognized that using soldiers instead of citizens for domestic law enforcement would fundamentally alter the relationship between military power and civil society. They sought to ensure that federal troops were kept out of local law enforcement. Now, the communists have done the opposite, but there always will be, hopefully, and should be, the Posse Comitatus Act, because we don't want soldiers giving out traffic tickets. Unnecessary, especially on American soil. So what we really need is to countermand the invasion force that the communists invited. Now, when I say communist, I sincerely mean Democrats, but I also mean Republicans. Okay? Bush was one. Now, he didn't come off as one, but the fact of the matter is, he wanted to implement and did implement to a degree his New World Order that he said, 72 times or something during his presidency, his regime, right? So, two ways. The Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 says that soldiers can't be functioning as law enforcement. However, I would wager that the plan that the boss, Donald Trump, has doesn't have soldiers at computers writing up files to deport illegal aliens. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Will they transport? Oh, I sure hope so. Have you ever seen the size of a C5 Galaxy, ladies and gentlemen? If you haven't, you can fit its little brother, okay, without its wings, okay, inside of a C5. The fuselage, anyway, can fit inside without the wings, right? Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be glorious because we are going to put America first. Should we allow people in? Yes, yes, and yes. But how about waiting in line? How about doing it right? How about going through some screening process? Wouldn't that be grand? Okay, here's the second tine on that fork. The Insurrection Act. Oh, this is one of my favorites here. This is one of my favorites. Matt, I know you know what I'm talking about. So this act's broad language, again, this is out of Zero Hedge, largely unchanged since the Civil War, allows presidents to deploy troops whenever they believe domestic unrest, rebellion, or resistance to federal law makes normal enforcement impossible. This extensive authority is rooted in Congress's constitutional power to call forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. Insurrections? What the hell are you talking about, Otter? What do you think November 3rd of 2020 was? Do you think 81 million votes that nobody, unless you're really educated, nobody, I mean institutionalized, nobody believes the sack of porridge diaper-wielding Joe Biden, how is he going to ever get 81 million? The communist messiah, Barack Hussein Obama, only got 60-some million. How is Joe, I can't fart because I can't trust a fart at my age, Biden Going to get 81 million votes, ladies and gentlemen. That was an insurrection. It was an overthrow, a coup. And I'm not exaggerating. This is not hyperbole. It was an insurrection. What does that do? It enacts the Insurrection Act. This is why some people, like myself, have maintained that Donald Trump is the 45th, 46th, and 47th. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But I don't know. I don't think I'm wrong on this one. So when we are looking at ways in which he pardoned his son, oh, he sure did, Jim. We'll touch on that. I'm gonna end this one, but I got to finish with this Insurrection Act because it's crucial that we understand this Insurrection Act. Its purpose is to ensure that there is civility, that there is peace, and there is obedience to federal law. Okay? So the part here where it says to repel invasions, what do you think millions upon millions of illegally present human beings, many of which are criminals, many of which are fighting age males, do you think that was an accident? Do you think that flying them over the border where the Border Patrol agents couldn't even attempt to catch them, do you think that was an accident? Do you think giving them an invite on an app was an oops? Ladies and gentlemen, they're your replacements. Oh, you don't think so? Well, then stop watching The View. Please. And if you won't, then I'll send you a hockey helmet and maybe a drool bib. Anyway, Blinken, this is going on a different story. I'm not going to get into that one because I want to break at the half here and remind everybody, we're live on 97.7 FM, KCYP, the city out of McAllen, Texas, broadcasting right here from the McAllen Creative Incubator. Also going out on TuneIn Radio. We're going out on Radio Garden. Those are two apps. We're going out on Facebook Live and YouTube. Thank you for listening and watching. Much appreciated. So we were going to go back to Jim's comment. You think about the movie Red Dawn. I do too, Jim. I do too. Jim commented, and I haven't covered it. I'm sure everybody's heard it. Grandpa Mushmouth, he pardoned his son. But here's the key. Here's the key. And I think I have some of it here at some point. And if I do, I don't see it right now. But he went retroactive. And it's very telling. He went all the way back to 2014. What happened in 2014? A color revolution occurred in Ukraine. What do you mean, Otter? I mean that three-letter agencies based in the U.S., some in NATO, basically said, hey, away with this, officially elected president. We got one of our own. Here he is. His name's Zelensky. He's a little dancer. You'll love him. Nobody loves him. Nobody loves him at all. So Biden, the junior guy, Hunter, PEDO, that guy who just got pardoned, he was working for a company called Burisma, because don't all companies want a crack fiend, whoremongering presidential son? Yes, they do. Not really. But Burisma did. And they got it, man. They got the son. They got the influence. All they needed to do was pay. And they paid. And they paid and they paid. So Ukraine has been utilized for many different things since 2014. One of them is biowarfare labs, of which 45 were admitted by the Pentagon of existence. And if they admit 45, well, you can imagine it's got to be at least 90, right? You got to double that because all they do is lie. So The fact of the matter is that Ukraine had a color revolution, and Biden wants to erase any culpability that his son or he have in that whole travesty where, I don't know, a whole generation of young Ukrainians are gone, man. They're gone. I've got it right here. Listen to this mess. Blinken, I think he's Secretary of State. Anybody correct me? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Blinken, Barry, Ukraine coup. Exactly. This is where we're at, right? So Blinken, he's an American. I think he's the Secretary of State. I'm not sure. I don't really care what the communists do. Ramps up pressure for Zelensky to get younger people into the fight. Ladies and gentlemen, these warmongers, these kids are listening. Remember, thank you. And then another headline, Ukraine firmly rejects U.S. calls to lower conscription age to 18. Ladies and gentlemen, what the communists have done has completely sullied our reputation internationally, and it should be sullied because these people are sick. He wants kids to go into the wood chipper now, does Blinken. And Blinken's not a free agent anyway. You know, somebody somewhere owns him, right? He either went to a Diddy party, an Epstein Island, or something of that sort. We know that. They have to own their people. They have to have something very much incriminating on them, or they won't obey to the letter of their law. Ukraine has firmly rejected calls from Washington and NATO leadership to lower its age of conscription from 25 to 18. Imagine how many more people they could kill. Wow, Washington's wonderful. Amid widespread acknowledgement that it doesn't have enough able-bodied fighting men to defend the front lines or slow the Russian military advance. Jeepers creepers, huh? Isn't that terrible that our communist governors can't even get things done anymore because Ukraine is finally saying enough is enough. Enough is enough, ladies and gentlemen. And in the words of Donald Trump, can we just stop the dying? Let's just stop the dying. But ladies and gentlemen, the international criminal syndicate, the Illuminati, the deep state, the Khazarian mafia, however you want to put it, they are in no position to stop. Not only do they not want to stop, they are desperate. They're like a rat in the corner, and we're the ones with the baseball bat. So we need to keep hunting. Now, judge rejects Boeing plea deal in 737 MAX crashes over DEI provision. Ladies and gentlemen, DEI is a communist. And I know I bandy about the term communism very often. I do. I will admit that. But I have no better overarching term for you. There are many terms we can call this, but I think communism fits very well. So I'm going to use it. Marxism 101 states that one of the biggest and key elements to taking down a nation is to demoralize its citizens. How do you demoralize its citizenry? Well, you make it so that the achievers, the workers, the movers and shakers see that their efforts are no longer worth it. And what do I mean by that? DEI means that an employee, a new hire, needs to be a certain color, size, sexual orientation, have some sort of victimhood status, and any number of other things that have nothing to do with competence. Because if they are competent, there is encouragement because people have to work to be competent, and that work pays off when they get a job. So the best person for the job, regardless of color, regardless of where they come from, regardless of how they do their thing at home. Competence means that you get the best person for the job. See, with Marxism, with communism, that's exactly what you don't want. You don't want competence. Certainly not, because a competent person could, overthrow your incompetent bureaucrats, and they can't have that. So, which is happening right now in the United States, thank God. So, in this particular case, Boeing, let me read it. Boeing's plea deal with federal prosecutors aimed at resolving the U.S. Justice Department's investigation into the 737 MAX fatal crashes. And I wonder if those crashes were related to DEI. Do you think they maybe chose a man or a woman because of their color, sexual orientation, their country of origin? They were maybe beat up as a kid. Maybe they were, fatter than most. Maybe that's why they got the job to turn wrenches at Boeing. I'm just saying, just saying. Who knows? Who knows? So, what it boils down to, Barry says, Kamala is a perfect example of it. Yes, thank you. I mean, didn't Diaper Joe say the same? He admitted it. He wanted a black woman vice president, which is fine. Fine. But not that one. And she's not black. Yeah. And this, why don't more people see these things? Anyway, so according to Wall Street Journal report, U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor rejected the plea deal, stating it improperly constrained the court by requiring diversity considerations in the selection of an outside monitor to oversee Boeing's future legal compliance. So what they wanted to do was pick someone based on color, based on sexual preference, based on identity, based on country of origin, based on obesity, based on, I don't know, instead of a competent individual of any of those things. They can be any of those things, but they must also be competent so that they can make sure that Boeing was going to adhere by the court orders. Boeing doesn't want that. Competence infers accountability. That's the last thing they want. In a case of this magnitude, says the judge, it is in the utmost interest of justice that the public is confident this monitor selection is done based solely on competency. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you, next time you go on a trip and you're in the plane with your family, do you want that pilot to be experienced and competent, or do you want that pilot to be a particular shade of melanin? Do you want that pilot to be competent and able to get you and your family where you want to be safely? Or do you want that pilot to adhere to a certain sexual preference? You just ask yourself that. I know I have, and I know my answer. I want competence every time. Now, is that guy some person who likes to do whatever he likes to do with two consenting adults in his home? I don't care if he's competent. What if that person is on one end or the other of the melanin spectrum? I don't care if he's competent or she's competent. But we have to have competency. Color doesn't matter. Sexual preference doesn't matter. Obesity doesn't matter. And I mean, they got to fit in the chair, right? In the seat, the cockpit, right? They got to fit. Political affiliation doesn't really matter. Okay? Victimhood doesn't really matter. Whether they were the bully, they were bullied, doesn't matter. If they're competent, that is what matters. However, in upside down clown world, you can't have competence because that means corruption fails. And they can't have corruption fail. That's certainly not available to them. I want to go on this one, guys. I want to go on this one. I think I'm going to skip one or two, but I want to go on this one because I'm going to pose a theory. It's not mine, but I'm rapidly, okay? I am rapidly adhering to this theory. Now, Barry says, need to keep ESG credit score up to keep BlackRock happy. Yes. Thank you, Barry. You see the tie-in between megalith organizations like BlackRock and these DEI and so on, whatever have you. Okay, they work hand in glove to screw you and me is basically what it is. Now, check this out. This is from X, right? Senate Republicans are reportedly pushing back against President Trump's Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard was in my suspicious category for a while. Now anything can happen. Perhaps she'll be back in there. I don't know. But I was introduced to this theory that I really kind of shine to. And this theory is that Tulsi Gabbard, a conservative, was sheep-dipped and used to infiltrate the International Criminal Syndicate, the Deep State, via the Democrat Party. Wow, think about it. Okay, let me define sheep-dipped. So we all know that the syndicate, the Deep State, has infiltrated all facets of our society, be it education, especially they have thrived. Communism reigns in academia, okay? Government, right? We have loonies in government. I mean, super crazy people. Look at California, man. So every facet of our society has these types, right? They have infiltrated. What I am gaining a respect for is the possibility that they did the same. The good guys, the patriots, did the same thing with Tulsi Gabbard. It makes sense. Why? Because Tulsi, being attractive, is much more likely to be conservative. Did I say something wrong? Did I infer something I should not have? I'm almost sorry that I did. But I'm really not. Because you ought to suspect her based on the fact that she's put together mentally and physically. Yeah. She was in the military. She knows what it is to risk life and limb. And to be at the risk of seeing your friends' lives and limbs risked. Which communists, such as this Blinken Yahoo, who wants 18-year-olds now in Ukraine to get killed. You can see this. So here's my theory. Tulsi Gabbard is now with the other wing of communists. It's called a Republican wing. Okay? And these Republicans, particularly the Senate Republicans, are reportedly pushing back against President Trump's Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Aha. I think Gabbard, out of the three, still has the toughest path. She is the most at risk. One Senate GOP aide told The Hill. The Hill is a hill, and this is me speaking, of crap, because it is, the old style Mockingbird media. So they're out. The Hill. The senators holding up Trump's confirmations are not operating in the country's best interests. They are doing this to bank favors. And I would add, and the article's over, I would add that they're doing this because they're ordered to do this. This is their job. They also attended one of Diddy's parties. They also went to Epstein Island. They also did whatever Democrats do, because there's really no difference between Democrat and Republican. You could see that as they both hate Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is an outsider. He's not one of them. He was at some point when they thought he wasn't the maverick that he is, that he wasn't a man for the people. when they thought he was one of them, then wow, they loved him. Right, Oprah? They loved him. Oprah wanted him to be president. It's in a note. So once they found out that he did things nobody else did, like kick out Epstein from Mar-a-Lago, yeah, there's pictures of, knuckleheads on X and even Facebook show these pictures of Trump with, what's his crack, Epstein. Yeah, they were at social things. They were both in the same circles. But once he found out what Epstein did, he was gone, man. He never made it back to Mar-a-Lago. They won't tell you that story, right? Anyways, you know what, ladies and gents? It's getting to be about that time. I really approve, not only approve, but appreciate the fact that you've watched, you've gone through this. If you're watching live, great. If you've got a chance to comment, like you, Barry, thank you very much. Matt, you guys came in. Paul, I appreciate that. And others, I'm probably forgetting some. But I really appreciate that you're watching, that you listen, you comment and participate. This is what it's all about. If you think that, hey, Otter, you know what, you're spending too much time on crypto, you're spending too much time on world events, whatever, let me know. I appreciate feedback. I just want a well-rounded informational presentation so that you can base your decisions on things that you may not have seen. I'm not saying that I'm smarter than anyone. I'm saying that I find things from smart people and point it out to you. I consider it my duty. I am honored to perform it, and I believe that God has put me in this position to help other people see what he's showing me. I just hope that. I don't have any, earthly guarantees, but I feel it. So I really thank you being here. I really thank you for listening, for watching, your comments, all that good stuff. And I hope to see you again in the comments section and all that. Louie, good to see you, Lou. I'm about to sign off. If you want to, please. I talked about Tulsi Gabbard and the sheep dipping. Yes, I went there just like, 5 minutes ago. So however long this is, go back about 5 minutes and you'll catch it. Maybe throw a comment up. I'll respond to it later. But we're closing out, and I'm showing my appreciation. Thank you very much, all. I want God to bless you. I pray that God blesses you with good things and not bad, as he is God, our Father. May you have prosperity. May you have many blessings, the love of God and the love of your family and friends. Thank you. I appreciate who you are and what you do. Have a great week. The Otter's out.
This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.